Mr. Kelly.
This committee has heard that processing times for the disability tax credit have gone from approximately 3 to 4 weeks to over 40 weeks before the first questionnaire is sent to an applicant's physician. What are the current processing times for a disability tax credit application, and what has caused the delay?
Madam Minister or Mr. Commissioner, whoever wants to go.
Madam Minister, please.
I can take that question. I would say, just to broaden for 1 second beyond disability credit claims, we are experiencing an increase in processing times in a number of places across the agency in assessments, reassessments, for a variety of reasons. One of which is a transition that we undertook in November of last year to realign our business with the way that things have evolved in terms of more electronic. So do you know what it is currently? Pardon me?
What is the current wait time for a disability tax credit?
And the current wait time for disability tax credit, we aim to process them within 8 weeks. The statistics that I have, but if the current time is we could be higher up to 10 weeks or so. But I haven't heard the 40-week number. I'm happy to go back and check.
Yeah,
but
we were
I
told
haven't heard
40
anything that long.
What are disability tax credit applications in fact frozen, as was the testimony we heard? Is there a hold on that particular tax credit application right now?
They are not frozen. As I indicated, though, we are experiencing some processing delays. Okay. So we are trying to get those processed as fast as we can. That goes broader than the credit, and we have invested more money to try to get us through this period as we transition, and we are expecting service level rates to return to normal in the coming weeks.
Okay. Madam Minister, your mandate letter from the Prime Minister charges you to ensure that the CRA is more client-focused and that you'll proactively contact Canadians about the tax credits to which they're entitled. On Tuesday, the Auditor General released a report finding that 2/3 of calls are not answered by your agency, and that for those that are answered, a full 30% of people that contact the call centers are given incorrect information. How are you able to proactively contact Canadians, and how are you able to proactively ensure that Canadians get the tax credits they're entitled to when they can't reach your agency and they're given incorrect information when they do get through?
As I mentioned, I became aware of the Auditor General's report, and I agree with all the recommendations therein. Since our first budget, we have invested some $50 million over 4 years to be able to hire persons who will help in the call centers. I can also tell you that, contrary to your government when it was in place under the former minister, Carolyn Findlay, there were cuts. At that time, there were cuts at the agency. Now we are investing in the agency. We have a new telephone platform which will be better able to meet the needs of those clients who call into the CRA. The old obsolete platform that was used in the past was 20 years old, and there were cuts made by the previous government in training, in the numbers of employees. It has become very important for Canadians to have the best information possible, best training for those working there, best support available, and also we want to meet the standards of the needs of Canadians and not the standards of the past.
This Tuesday that you became aware of the seriousness of the service problems at the CRA? When did you become aware that there were such serious problems at the CRA with service?
Well, that's not the case whatsoever. I'm very pleased to be able to tell you that over the last 2 years, I've been able to visit most of the CRA's offices. I've visited the call centers. I've met the employees working in the call centers. And I myself have sat in on some of their calls. And our action plan was laid out as of last year in order to respond to the needs that Canadians were expressing. And over my 2 years of work in the field, I have seen just how the cuts that were made during your government had really destroyed piece by piece the services available through the call centers, the self-serve. You should be ashamed of what took place then.
Calls were being answered, and the Auditor General found that it was only that 64% were being hung up on. So is that what your staff were telling you, that all calls were getting through, or did they agree with the Auditor General that you were unable to answer phone calls?
I will allow the Commissioner to answer your question.
On to that. The first issue is we were aware before the Auditor General's report of some of the issues with the phone system. We were running on an old technology, and we already had in place plans to get a new technology which would be delivered next year, which will allow us to provide the same kind of service that you'd be more used to with more up-to-date technology. So that's point one. The other point which the Auditor General raised is how we report on our service. And what we had done in the past is we said, if you get through into our lines, we will answer your call within 2 minutes, 80% of the time. And so that means you get through. And the way we were able to deliver on that commitment was we couldn't let everybody through the line. So some people would get busy signals, they would have to call back. And that was the process of what we could do with the technology that we had. And so, yes, we agree that there's a number of people who get busy signals and have to call back. And what we're doing now is we're trying to invest a bit more money now until we get the new technology to improve that service, to ensure a good balance between how long you have to wait on the line and how quickly you can get through. So they weren't new issues that the Auditor General raised, and we have an action plan. So we agreed with his recommendations, and we have an action plan to deliver those. And that it's beginning right now, but it will really kick in next year when we get the new platform for the telephone calls.